Live.
Welcome. We're glad you're doing this.
I have the feeling that all of you guys know each other, so we don't need to do introductions. Oh, there's my other friend, Diana Blair, just signed on. She's on mute. That's okay. And also joining us live here is Sandra Goldman. She lives on my floor here. Hi. You can't
Hello.
see her because she doesn't have a computer.
And Leah, where do you live?
I live at the Park Lane condominiums on Marion and Virginia, right by Washington Park.
Okay, the big tall set of condominiums.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're with the State League, is that it?
Yeah, the task force, the Reproductive Freedom Task Force is my big area of interest.
Okay.
There's a question in chat about Sue and Leah. Would you just address that question?
Okay, chat, let me see.
I'd love to hear about League of Women Voters Colorado policy, Ray, gathering signatures and nonpartisan policy dividing line between this work, advocacy work, and voter registration, for instance. Well, League of Women Voters nationwide can support issues or ballot issues or other issues that reflect our positions that League takes nationwide. We never support a candidate. So in that way, we are nonpartisan. So signature gathering like this, one of the strong stances that League of Women Voters, not just of Colorado, but of the US takes, is in support of full reproductive rights for everyone in the United States. So that is one of our positions, and that is not, other than in the present climate, political climate, considered a partisan stance. That is following one of the things that we feel is a human right and should be protected and enshrined in the Bill of Rights or the Constitution or in some way in states. Does that answer the question that you posed?
Thank you, Susan. This is Pat Berger from the Larimer League. We have a voter registration training on Saturday, and our voter registration people believe that we cannot advertise that we have people gathering signatures at that event. So I get what you said exactly, and I understand that, but they're taking it to another level, which I'm just not sure.
Are you a 501c3 or do you still have a 501c4, Patricia?
We're a 501c3.
Okay, yeah. You may be thinking of the olden days when we all had C4s.
Well, it's not me.
No, I know.
So are they concerned that they will drive people away from registering to vote if they say that League is also supporting this initiative?
No, they think that the nonpartisan policy extends. There's like a giant wall between voter services work and our stand on issues. And so they think that we shouldn't, we could have somebody in another room gathering signatures or outside, except it's going to be 20 degrees, but we couldn't just, I don't understand it. I don't think our nonpartisan views extend to issues. We have a stand on this, just like you said. So
yes, and nationally we have a position on this.
Right.
And so advocacy, which this is part of, can overlap, I guess, into voter service. Lisa, Jeanette, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I've always I remember when I was working on the ERA back in '76, and the league didn't hide behind the idea that we couldn't do advocacy at the same time we were doing voter registration. So that's been my experience with the distinction between advocacy and voter registration.
Is this, can I get this in writing?
That was the Boulder League of Women Voters, so that might be a little different, but we never really debated whether or not it would tarnish our nonpartisan point of view.
I mean, I think the league is very, very active in advocacy in all kinds of areas, so,
Right.
yeah.
Like I
Last
said,
fall, last
can I
fall
get
when
in
we were
writing?
doing voter registration, we had the state ballot guides that gave the League of Women Voters of Colorado positions available if people
Right.
ask. But only if people ask. We didn't and I am new to League of Women Voters, just about 2 years. So I rely on people like Janetta and Sue, et cetera, to know. But I know that's what we did last fall. And I think people on the board had recommended that, if I remember correctly. But I bow to others who have more experience.
Patricia, the other person I think you could consult with is Beth Hendricks.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And Andrea Wilkins too, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so since this is a
Okay.
training and not a policy making meeting, we're gonna
Sorry.
move on.
Good. Thank you.
So welcome, everybody. This is a training on how to become a petition circulator. And I'm very happy to have you all here and hope that you can get out and circulate petitions once you get trained on this. You cannot circulate a petition unless you have been trained. And I thought when I first heard that, that was kind of silly. But come to find out, getting petition signatures is not as simple as you think it is. It's a highly bureaucratic, detailed process. And I found out myself just how easy it is to go astray when you are getting these petitions signed. And there is a campaign designed training, which we will get to, but I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of background so you know what we're talking about when we talk about this whole campaign. It is the baby of the Colorado Reproductive Health Rights and Justice Coalition, which is an organization of 7 different reproductive health rights and justice organizations. You can see them on your screen: Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado, the Colorado Organization for Latina Opportunity and Reproductive Rights, which is also known as COLOR, Cobalt, which is actually managing this campaign, PNC, which is Progress Now Colorado, which is mostly involved with legislative action, and New Era Colorado, which is a youth organization that involves mostly young people and trying to advance legislation and rights for young people. Really a cool organization as far as I can tell. I'm just going to talk about logistics so we can get that out of the way. And so if you have questions, you don't have to ask them in the middle of the training. There will be a ton of information given to you. So I'm going to send out an email tomorrow, if not today, to everybody who's in the training. And it will include all of the slides. some handouts that both the campaign organizers and I have developed for you on how to do this process that I hope will be useful to you. You will also get, because I will sign you up with the campaign organizers, an email from them as well that'll have some of the same information, and then you will officially be involved in the campaign. And we just want to let you know that your involvement and how much involvement you have is totally up to you. I have found that the more I talk about it, the more involved I get. And I have had a very warm reception from everybody I've talked to, no matter where I talk about it. And it is going to be a very warm reception, generally speaking, maybe not all the time, but and it's going to be a very impactful situation for you as you go along doing this. Here's a whole bunch of logistical stuff. If you want to take a screenshot, feel free, but you will get this email in your email. It's my information as kind of the Denver League of Women Voters coordinator. Our lead organizer at Cobalt is Sydney Fisk. She and I go way back to, all the way back to 2022, when we started doing some legislative work together. Cobalt is where petitions can be picked up. Obviously, since we're not doing this live, I can't give you petitions right now, but they can be picked up from their office. They have certain office hours where they try to get people in. But if you can't go during those office hours, give Sydney a call and she will make arrangements for you to come in some other time. She posts and you'll get emails with those office hours as they develop them. They kind of have a rotating basis. I will actually be there on Thursday part of the time to help Sydney get petitions out because I'm doing other trainings and trying to drive everybody in on Thursday to get petitions. So I'm going to try and help her get those out on Thursday. It's not too far from where I live, so it's easy for me to get there. I've heard through Sydney and other people that one of the big problems with the petitions that are being finalized and turned in is that because we're in 2024, just like every time I write a check, I put down 2023. So remind people when you're standing there watching them sign the petition, it's 2024. You're going to hear me talking about MOUs, which is short for Memorandum of Understanding. Critical that we do those. There is a digital one. You'll get a link for that in the email you get from me, also from Cobalt. There's a digital one you've not got to sign, and there's a written one that you've got to sign. You will get that in the emails. So when you come in to pick up your petitions, bring that signed written one with you, and you should have already signed the digital one that you get in the email. Why is it so complicated, this getting of signatures? Because it's a legal process. And especially in the last 4 years, ever since we had an insurrection on our doorstep, and everybody's claimed fraud over an election, campaign scrutiny is incredible. Every action that we take, every effort that we make, and the results that we gain have got to be above reproach, because we're going to be watched by people who do not support our cause. And we've got to make sure that we get somewhere with this. The other question that I get a lot is, well, abortion is already legal in Colorado. Why do we need this amendment to the state constitution? And there's a couple of answers to that. One is, just because it's legal does not mean it's accessible in Colorado. And just because it's legal in Colorado doesn't mean that it is just and equitable in Colorado. And there's a reason for that. In 1984, there was a constitutional amendment called Amendment 50 to the Colorado Constitution that prohibits the spending of public funds to pay for abortion. Now, I don't know if it was an intended consequence or an unintended consequence, but because of that amendment to our Constitution, public employees could not use their medical insurance that their employer and they were paying for to pay for abortion services. So people like me, who spent about 35 years working for the government, could not use my insurance to pay for an abortion, should I have needed one. That's been going on since 1985. So you can imagine the number of people that has affected adversely over the years. I have done some research and I have not been able to find out how many people that affects currently, but their numbers are looking like about 150,000 people in Colorado who cannot use their medical insurance to pay for an abortion. We're talking about everybody who works for the government, state government, and local municipal governments. Like I was an employee of the city and county of Denver. Had I needed to have an abortion, I would have had to pay for it privately. My insurance would not have paid for it. If I'd had dependents, it would not have paid for their abortions. So everybody from the governor to a lifeguard at a public pool cannot use their insurance to pay for an abortion. And it's been that way since 1985. Right now, when I look back on it, I feel kind of discriminated against, to tell you the truth, because I was a public servant and tax dollars paid for my medical insurance. And let me tell you, they did not tell me that when they recruited me for my job. And I was heavily recruited for that job. Additionally, because it's a tax dollar that pays for it, Medicaid recipients have no insurance coverage for abortion care. Now, that was for sure intended by that constitutional amendment. So people who can't afford medical insurance and have to look to public assistance for medical insurance cannot have their abortions paid for by Medicaid. And I want to just tell you about this, and I'm going to give you a trigger warning. This includes child abuse of the most serious kind. I was a city attorney for the Department of Human Services Child Protection Unit for all those years, from 1985 until I retired in 2018. And I saw hundreds of children come through on my caseload who had been made pregnant, who wanted abortions, and they had been the victims of sexual abuse by members of their household as children, as young as 10 or 11 years old. And they could not get abortions because they couldn't pay for them. and there was no way to pay for them. Now, I'm not saying that was the only barrier to them getting abortions. There were lots of other barriers, including their families, their religions, their cultures, our societal norms. It was legal for them to get an abortion, but they could not get it. And many of them wanted abortions. And they could get it, but it was not accessible to them. So I think we need to put a stop to that. And Initiative 89, which is what we're gathering signatures for to get it on the ballot, will put a stop to that. So you could tell I'm a little wrapped up in this. And feel very strongly about it. Not only did it discriminate against public servants, this constitutional amendment that was enacted in 1989, it also discriminated against children who were living in situations of abuse and poverty. It also discriminated against marginalized people and people of color. So Initiative 89 repeals 50. It guarantees public servants and Medicaid recipients will get their abortions paid for by their insurance. And it also does something else. It takes politicians out of the mix in terms of deciding what happens and puts citizens in control of what the law is in Colorado. Something that other states are desperate for, and that Colorado can achieve. I don't know if all of you saw the news over the weekend about Florida, where they gathered 890,000 signatures to get their constitution amended so that abortion rights will be available to them. And they can take their politicians out of the picture. But I'm like, good on you. They had 10,000 volunteers working on it down there. I think Colorado can do the same with a lot less signatures and fewer volunteers, hopefully. The other thing I wanted to say is, remind people is, this doesn't happen for free or nothing, even though we're all volunteers. This is going to cost a lot of money. Estimates are in the millions of dollars, somewhere over $10 million by the time we're done. Not the signature gathering, but the whole campaign once we get it on the ballot. And our adversaries are going to make sure it costs a lot of money. So you will get this link in your email. Ask anybody who you asked to sign, or tell anybody where to go to donate. I specifically have given up things I don't use so I can donate money, like Hulu and Spotify. I never use them, so I gave them up so I can donate. And if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand or in the chat, or put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer questions. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. This is a basic human right that we're trying to initiate here. So now I'm going to turn it over to the actual training from the campaign, Coloradans for Protecting Reproductive Freedom. I guess I have to stop this one. Anybody have any questions before I move on to the other one?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, and that is, I really like that this is framed as reproductive freedom.
Yes,
And I think I like that as an approach.
it is. Let's see if I can get this to work here. All right. So petition circulator training, here's the complexities and the joys of being a petition circulator. Who knew? Who knew? This is kind of the overview. I kind of gone over it, but here's the nuts and bolts. We're going to try and collect 185,000 signatures because the exact number that we need is 124,238 valid signatures. Now, I am not a math wizard, but that's about 60,000 more than we need, which means we're going to have about 60,000 invalid signatures. So if you do the math, that tells you why we need to get out there and start getting signatures, and how easy it is to get invalid signatures. So thank you very much for your efforts. Before we even start, we got to get a lot of signatures. Here's the actual text, which you will get a copy of in the email from me.
Hey, Leah,
Yes,
if you intended to share your screen,
I'm
at least
not.
I'm not seeing it.
All right, well, let me try again. Let's see, how do I get out of this?
Go down to the share, the green share button, and do you have the PowerPoint up somewhere?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, go down to the share screen and then have it point at the PowerPoint.
Let's see, share. Oh, no, that's not that.
Down on my thing, it's on the bottom row underneath
Yeah.
your.
I think I hit share like I was gonna email it to somebody.
No, it says share screen.
There we go.
Now, that's the last one.
Yeah,
I'm
that's the old one. So you can X out of that one and pull up the new one.
New share. See if that comes up. Now, did a new one come up?
Yes.
Yeah, believe so.
No,
Oh, no, this is the same one, sorry.
Oh, it is, isn't it? So I'm gonna stop share on that one. Share screen. Did a new one come up?
No, you need to open up that other PowerPoint in the background and then do share screen.
I should have never done two different PowerPoint.
There you go. Okay, it's looking good.
No, that's the old one.
That's the old one. So, right from that, oh, well,
Ah. The shared window has closed. Okay.
now to open up the other PowerPoint.
Now it should say proposed initiative 89.
No, we're not getting it yet.
Okay, let me.
If you can see it, then you just need to do share screen so that we can see it. There we go.
Okay.
Now point to your PowerPoint. There you go.
There we go.
Okay, we got it.
Thought that's what I was doing. There we go. All right, so we got through that. We got through that. There we are, the text for the initiative. This is what it will look like in the Constitution. 2 sentences, going to change our world here. I think you all can read it without me reading it to you. So let's talk about. You'll get it in the email too. So we're gonna talk, this is kind of our agenda. We're gonna talk about do's and don'ts. Requirements and instructions. We're gonna have a handy little petition poster that you will get. If any of you intend to hang around events and actually approach people outside of events, we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not too worried about this group having the moxie to do that. So I'm not too worried about practicing that. And then just also talk a little bit about notaries, the Secretary of State, our MOUs, and then some other logistical stuff. So let's talk about dues. Never let that petition out of your hands. Can I see that petition? I want to show you what it looks like. It's actually legal size. It's probably the only document in the state of Colorado still legal size. We got away from them a long time ago. And it does have, I would read it if I were you when you get it, because it has good information in it and tells you a lot about the document. And then this is what the actual signature lines look like. I don't know if you can see that. Each one has enough space for 40 signatures. So it's a wonderful little thing. Do always use a pen, no pencils, because that can be erased. And no colored pens, please. Blue or black ink. And you want to say to your person as they come up to you, all eager to sign, are you a registered voter in Colorado? Because if they're not, they can't sign it. And the other question that comes out of your mouth is, have you got your current address with the Secretary of State? Because if they don't, you don't want to let them sign it. They need to get their address correct with the Secretary of State, because they've got to have the right address on the petition. It's got to match whatever is with the Secretary of State. Now, one of the things you're going to get, can I borrow yours, Sue? In your email, and if you're doing a table at an event somewhere or something, I suggest you have your computer with you and you have it bookmarked on your computer, is the Secretary of State's registration link. Because you can sit there with your computer and in about 2 seconds, you can check and see if they're registered to vote and what their address is for them. Or you can tell them where to go right there with their phone, which they all have on them. And you can have them look it up and check and see if they're registered to vote and what the address is. Don't let them sign it if they have any question. Now, if they're like me and I've lived in the same place for the last 10 years and they voted in every single election and they know that, then fine, they don't have to look it up. But you want to make sure that they feel comfortable with that. The other thing is you want to make sure that they have not already signed the petition. Ask them, have you already signed this petition? And if they don't know, if they've been signing everything that's been put in front of them at every King Soopers they've been in, don't let them sign it, because then it looks like we're committing fraud. It's better to not let them sign than it is to let them sign it. Second, make sure that they use their complete address. No abbreviations except for postal abbreviations like state, or I'm sorry, street. They don't have to put Colorado. We know they're in Colorado. It's not part of the address. Make sure they use their whole name, not Dave or Liz or Deb or whatever. Make sure it's their whole name. Make sure that they have a legible signature. People love to these days just put a scrawl for their signature. That is not a valid signature. It will be invalidated. It'll become part of that 60,000. So you've got to be able to at least minimally read that signature. Do not let them do that scrawl. And make sure that they sign it the way they sign their voter card. Susan, you raised your hand.
Yeah,
What
I've
is-
worked the polls, and particularly young people don't use their signatures very much anymore. They do scrawls.
They do.
And for some of those young people, if they have registered to vote, that scrawl is going to be what is registered at the Secretary of State's office if they have voted before. Registered to vote. So asking a young person to sign it legibly might indicate that they actually write something that isn't their usual signature. I don't know if I'm making that clear.
Yeah, I know what
Um,
you're talking about. Beg them,
It's,
beg
yeah,
them.
so I think you need to say, is this how you usually sign things that are legal documents? Or, this is not just zigzagging across a check at a restaurant.
Yeah. And I'll show you, I mean, you can't probably see this, but I had my hairdresser sign mine. And she did that thing. And I made her do it again. And she said, I don't know how to do that. And I said, well, try, honey, try. You know what your name is, and you probably used to write it that way. So try. And she did. And it'll probably be the last time she ever does it that way. But I just begged her, and she did. So yeah, otherwise it's not going to be accepted.
So this is a dual acceptance thing, because the voting, if you've signed your ballot in with a scrawl, they accept that. If you
Right.
get a
Yeah.
ballot in the mail, they accept the scrawl, but it
Apparently
And
sounds,
that's what they have in their
Yeah.
signature checking devices at the Secretary of State's, at the voter registration department. So
Yeah,
that scrawl may actually be what they show as her legal signature.
right. But they're
That's
not going
my
to accept it on
concern.
this, but they're not going to accept it on this petition.
You do the scroll and then their legible signature.
No, and no two signatures. Don't let them sign it twice.
Okay.
well, what did you do with the person who you had her do it over again?
I had her, she had to do it twice. We're going to get to mistakes and errors in a second.
Okay.
So yes, before they walk away or move away from you, inspect the signature and the whole thing and make sure it's right. If it's not right, if you need to, you draw one line through the whole thing and you have them start over. It's a lot like being a third grade teacher.
So the other challenging thing that they sometimes have at when they run signatures on ballots through to verify the signatures is there are people who have things like Parkinson's disease or other issues that can affect how their signature has been in the past. And they will pull those ballots and contact that person. So that
Yes, and
I'm concerned about this discrepancy.
yeah,
what I'm
and
saying.
there's a way to deal with that. If somebody is handicapped and cannot write their signature, you cannot sign it for them, but they can have somebody else sign it for them.
Okay.
Okay.
On the petition and
Thank you.
make a note for that on the
Okay.
petition.
Thank you.
Yeah, but as long as it's not you.
What about printing? Because some kids have never.
And
heard.
if they print as their signature, that's okay. It doesn't have to be cursive. Like I have sort of a print, and my friend Gretchen, who's here, is a printer. That's, as long as it's their signature and it's legible, that's fine. It doesn't have to be cursive. Any more questions? I know, see how complicated it gets real fast?
Do you have any recommendations for if a person is unclear if they have signed this petition before or not?
The only recommendation is we would prefer that they not sign. Because it's too risky. It looks like fraud. It's better to not have a signature, and thank them very much for their commitment to the cause, but it's better to not sign.
Is there any way to check that they have to?
No,
Okay.
there isn't. So here's the don'ts. We've already talked about some. Never leave your petition unattended. That's a huge fraud kind of thing. Don't let anybody else circulate or hold on to your petitions. You've got to be the one that's in charge of that petition. Do not write on the petition anywhere at all. Front, back, nowhere. No marks or tallies on the petition. Don't allow signers to do the little ditto mark. You'll see one of those in example in a minute. It says here, don't erase or correct a line even in an error, but there's exceptions to that. And it also allow anyone to sign for anyone else. We just talked about an exception to that. If they are handicapped or unable to sign, you can have someone else sign as long as you indicate that.
Leah, when you say someone else, does it have to be a related person or just someone around?
It can be someone around who's helping, who's assisting. It doesn't have to be related.
And do they have to initial it?
Yeah, and then they initial it. Don't make any promises or give anything for signing, like money or gifts. Obviously, that's fraudulent. Now, does that mean if you have a house party, you can't feed and water the people that are there? No, you can feed and water them. That's fine.
Question. When we're gathering voter registrations, if the person needs help, then the other person can help them, but not
Right.
you. That's what you're
Right,
saying.
yeah, not you.
They also can just put an X for their signature, but you're saying don't do that.
If they're illiterate.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then when somebody registers to vote, if they're homeless, they can use like 2 cross streets. Is that also true for a petition? It would just have to be the same 2 cross streets?
It has to be, yeah, and that's a case where you'd want to look up and see where they're registered.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're not in the business of arguing with voters. We're not trying to talk somebody into signing here. So if they don't want to sign or they want to argue with you, move on. They're taking up your time when you could be getting a signature. Just say, okay, thanks. No problem. We don't need your signature or whatever. Just get rid of them. And there are people there who will try and do that to take up your time and keep you from getting signatures. So politely get rid of them. Don't speak to the media or the press if they show up. Refer them to Cobalt. Don't lie or mislead anybody. Obviously, we're not going to do that. Or answer questions about the initiative if you don't know the answer. If you know the answer, great. But if you don't, just say, I'm sorry, I don't know, and refer them to the campaign or Cobalt. Obviously, there's going to be questions you don't know the answers to. And, obviously you don't make something up. Leave that to the lawyers.
There's another lawyer here, so I hope. he's
Yeah, we've
listening.
got,
Sorry.
Sandy's a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. We're the professionals, leave it to us. So if you are out doing, you're actually canvassing and doing this, of course you want to be proud and not necessarily real loud, but proud, be aware of your appearance. Look at people like you know them. Be warm and inviting. Be sure to always ask if they're registered. Smile and make eye contact as soon as you can with them from 10 feet away. Start walking toward them. Greet them as you're walking toward them. Cobalt has a bunch of clipboards, so if you're gonna be doing it, if you're one of those people that likes to do this kind of thing, get some clipboards from them. Always have multiple clipboards so you can have them going at the same time. Walk them through it if you hand them a clipboard. Don't take it back until you've had a chance to look at it. Make sure they didn't scrawl. And that they've got their right address on there and all of that time, and don't chitty chat with them. And the other thing I will tell you that I have found as a major impediment for me and probably for everybody is pay attention to what you're doing. I like to talk to people when they're, I'm standing around and they're signing their petition. I'll be chatting with them and I will distract them and they won't know what they're doing and they will make a mistake or screw it up, or I will make a mistake and screw it up. So kind of give them a minute to do it and pay attention to what they're doing and don't distract them. That is my biggest thing that I do. I talk too much. And I distract them, and don't let other people distract them. If you can, without, being rude. You are all going to get this thing called our petition poster. And it's a lovely document. I really love it. And it wasn't until I saw this that I really understood just how easy it is to mess up these petitions. So this is what it looks like. Here it is in bigger format. I made one for Gretchen and for Sue and Sandy that they've already seen. And I kind of I added some flourishes to jazzed it up a little bit, but you can see how easy it is to have a problem with these things. It's got, little hints and it shows you where we went wrong. And I should have told you guys to bring them with you today, but I forgot. So you can see we've got some stellar ones here. Rachel Green at the top. She got it all right. She got her name. She signed it Rachel Karen Green with her full name. She didn't scrawl anything. She's got her address. She's got her apartment number. She wrote out Denver twice because she lives in Denver County in the city of Denver. She got the right date on it. Everything's perfect. Then we come to Liz Lemon, who instead of saying she was Elizabeth Lemon, she wrote Liz, and then she signed it Liz Lemon. And her real name is Elizabeth Lemon. And that's how her voter registration has her, as Elizabeth Lemon. She did manage to get her address right. Mary Louise Parker got her name right. She didn't just give us the initial, but apparently that's okay. But she scribbled in the margin because she couldn't get the pen to work. Usually as part of your packet, you will get a piece of scrap paper so you can prime the pump on that pen So you don't have to have people scribbling in the margin. If I were you, I'd prime that pump before I started taking signatures. We all know what it's like with pens. They don't always write when you want them to. Don't let people do that on your petition. Yeah. Bad thing. Darling Betty Draper before she died from lung cancer. Oh, the other thing Mary Louise did is she put abbreviation for the county she lives in. That's a big no-no. Now that can be fixed. You can have her draw a single line through it, not a big scratch, just a single line. She can write Denver above it and put her initials and
And the
fix
date.
it. And fix it.
In the date, initials the date.
No, she doesn't need to
You
initial
don't
the
need to
date.
date.
No, because you're already dating it. Betty put her post office box. That's not her address. It might be where she gets her mail, but that's not where she lives. We hope. Stephen Colbert, really smart guy. He got it all right. Everything there is good. Then a lot
Can
of,
I ask if you can have a PO box when you register to vote as the delivery, but I'm just trying to distinguish between this and
yeah,
register.
but you also have to put your,
Uh,
you have to put a street address if you're homeless.
Well, but if you're not homeless and you just get your, you still need to put a physical address.
Yeah, you still have to have a physical address.
Okay, thank you.
Because you
So
could live anywhere. Whoops. What happened? Oh my God. What did I do? There we go. Yeah, you still have to prove you live in a county and in the state of Colorado. Because you could have a PO box and live in Alaska. Evelyn, Stephen's wife, got it all right, and then she wimped out on us and put those quotation marks for the county. All she had to do was write Denver. And she didn't. Tyron Lannister forgot that he lived on the boulevard and not the avenue, but he fixed it appropriately, one line through avenue and his initials, and he fixed it. So that one's okay. So he's golden. But we have 3 out of 7. Wait, 1, 2, 4 out of 7 invalid signatures. If I'm counting it right. So now we see how easy it is to mess it up. Any other questions?
There a thing on there that it said the initial and then you have to write your full name? I remember from the
No,
thought you gave us. No,
I don't think.
okay. No, I understand that, but I thought that then it said that somebody's voter registration or something, they had just the middle initial, and then you're asking them to write it, their middle name.
Their full name, yeah, on the signature page. It just asks for your middle initial when you're printing out your name. But like me, my middle name is Lou. And that's how I registered to vote, as Leah Lou Audin. So I write out Leah Lou Audin when I sign my voter card. When I vote. I sure wish I hadn't done that, but I did. Yeah. You know, and that's what I'm doing is I'm asking everybody, how do you sign your voter card? Most people can't remember. I'm gonna kind of skip this whole greeting part because you all are grown-ups, you know how to talk to people. So after you fill out and you're finished getting petitions or getting signatures, it's gotta be notarized. If you can't get it notarized before you turn it in, don't mail it to Cobalt or wherever you're turning it in. Call me and I'll arrange to come and notarize it for you. Or take it to Cobalt and Cindy or one of the other notaries there will notarize it for you. We'll get it notarized for you. But you can't turn it in until it's notarized. And, you know, there's all kinds of places around town where you can get it notarized. My bank notarized it for me. Gretchen had a terrible time getting some stuff notarized through her bank. I called first and asked them what hours they notarized during. And my bank was great. They said, we notarize all the time. When we're open, we notarize. Gretchen had to make an appointment. So you will also get a wonderful little attachment that's got a list of all the notaries who are friendly to our cause and will help you. And Susan has a question.
So if I'm going with 2 other people to a site to gather signatures and each of them holds a different petition, can I take all 3 petitions to be notarized, even if I didn't hold each of those petitions?
No, and
Okay.
people who are not trained through this training may not gather petitions with you.
But, right, but if I'm going with 2 other people who are trained to get petitions signed, each of them individually needs to take the petitions that they held to be notarized, correct?
Right, because you have to, the notary has to swear that the person who gathered the signatures is the one who signed it. Because you're signing an affidavit that you gathered the signatures.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so you've got to be sitting in front of the notary saying, I'm the one who gathered these signatures. Any other questions about the notary? And lots
I-
of this,
Can you,
oh,
can you
I'm sorry.
submit a petition that isn't completely filled in?
You know, I should have asked that question because I don't know, if it's not completely filled in, if we're supposed to blank out or mark out. But I'll find out about that.
Leah, this morning I was talking with Trina from Interfaith Alliance, and she said there's room for what, 40 signatures? If you
40,
have
yeah.
38 signatures, she said go ahead and take it to the notary because they're trying to get as many valid signatures as quickly as they can. She said
Yeah.
don't take a petition if it has 5 signatures on it. Try to, get near filling it up. But if it's not completely filled, and you're not going to be going out for a while to get signatures again, it's okay to take it to a notary if you're toward the end of the number on the page. That's what she said, but you may want to tell us something different.
Yeah, I need to find out because say you've only got 10 signatures and you're done. You can't, for some reason, you're not going to gather anymore. What my question is, do you put an X through the empty lines? The lawyer in me is saying yes, but I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. If you'd find that out, that'd be good information.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that out. And so because I'm doing a training tomorrow, so I'll try to find out before tomorrow. And
Thanks.
I'll put that in the email that I send out to everybody, because I don't know the answer to that. So, MOUs, the memorandum of understanding, that is just a reiteration of the rules and regulations that we've talked about. And there will be a link in the email, both from me and from the campaign organizers. If the link that doesn't work for me, or if the link you get from me doesn't work, so articulate sometimes. And I am recommending that you print out, before you sign it, the MOU, and that way you will be able to sign it in case you want to, before you turn in your, or before you go to Cobalt to pick up petitions. That way it's just done and you've got it all ready. They will have one there for you to sign. It's just a convenient little thing, so you don't have to do it at Cobalt. And the reason I recommend that is because once you sign it, you can't go in and say, oh, wait, I wanted to print this out. It'll let you print it out, but it won't let you take that signature off. It's a protected document. So I have actually had to white it out for people. Which, you know, can be done, but kind of silly. And, you know, kind of doesn't look so professional. Any questions about those? They're just, I believe they're required by the Secretary of State. You can also, when your petitions are done and notarized, you can mail them back to Cobalt. If you can't get to Cobalt to pick up petitions, you can email Sydney, and she will be happy to mail them out to you. I would make sure I've got multiple petitions, just in case you get inundated someplace. You've got more than 40 people there dying to sign up. You've got multiple petitions that they can sign. A friend of mine went to a play at the DCPA the other day. I don't know the name of it, but I guess it's some kind of play about women's humor. And she said she wished she'd had half a dozen petitions with her, because she said, I could have filled that whole, you know, all of them out at that play as people were coming out and going in. So always have, I never go anywhere without my petition with me, ever. And I'm going to be an insufferable bore about it. The first words out of my mouth usually when I see somebody is, are you a registered voter in Colorado? Is your dog a registered voter in Colorado? So any other questions? Susan has a question.
Do we need to ask permission of a, I'm thinking about the woman who was at the theater. Would she have needed to ask the theater for permission to stand there and collect signatures?
No, if you are on public property, you may sign away. If you are in a private establishment, yes, you need to ask permission. But public property, the law allows you to gather signatures.
I have a question. Do the people who get paid to do these circulation, do they get the same training as this?
Yes, they do. And probably a little more extensive on how to be a grown up and nice to people and smile and all that. But since we're a fairly mature group, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that. And if anybody has any questions or anything, later on, something dawns on you and you're confused about something, let me know. I've actually, when I first started this, I took the training twice just so I'd be really clear on it. Because I had this built-in bias, like how hard can it be? Well, son of a gun, it's a little bit harder than you thought.
Hey, Leah, can we sign our own petition sheets?
No, you may not.
No.
In fact, I haven't signed one yet because I keep forgetting.
I'll ask you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sign somebody else's. And like, I won't be able to notarize that petition either. We'll have to get somebody else to notarize it.
So if we go by Cobalt to pick up petitions, we could probably sign one there, right?
Right, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Is an effort being made to recruit more men to do this?
Yeah, I sincerely hope so. Every time I see a man at one of these events, I ask him, what do you think? How do we get more guys?
You could tell them that it's going to be less painful than getting a vasectomy.
Well, the reality is all those public employees throughout the state of Colorado, a lot of them are men. They have wives and daughters who are dependents who are affected by this.
Well, any other questions? I think you have the ability certainly to contact me or Leah, everybody who's on this chat, who's on this Zoom. So if you have questions that you didn't get answered, by all means, shoot them to one of us. And I just want to thank everyone for coming and for putting forth this incredibly important effort on behalf of women and girls and men and their families everywhere. Appreciate your doing this. And League of Women Voters is doing another training tomorrow by Zoom at 5:30, if you know somebody who might want to sign up for that one. And we will probably do more trainings in the future. These were just the ones that were put together pretty quickly. So if you have a place that you are a member of an organization or a church or a synagogue or a book club or something like that, where there are a lot of people who want to be trained to do this, please let me know at League of Women Voters, or and we'll try to get another training done for you. Can you think of anything else, Leah?
No, and just a big thank you. I mean, I actually worked all those years as a city attorney. I never knew that I didn't have this kind of coverage until I started doing this work. I never knew. And so I thank you on behalf of all the public employees, all the public servants, and all the people who can't thank you, who don't have a voice, all the children who don't have a voice. So thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time and effort. This is not a small thing.
No, it is
I
not.
want to talk about the deadline.
Oh, yes, I forgot the deadline. We need to get this all done by mid-March, end of March. Our drop deadline is April 25th, I believe. But we are going to be vetting all of these signatures ourselves. And we want to get that done by the end of March. So if we need to, we can go back out and get more signatures. So, yeah.
Okay.
We do. have quite a little deadline on our hands. Thank you for reminding me, I forgot.
Would you repeat that deadline again, please?
Mid-March,
Okay.
so yeah, we don't have a lot of wiggle room.
And so you said that some people are going to be checking the petitions themselves?
Yeah, we're gonna look for real obvious. Obviously, we can't check everything. But if we see obvious problems and we're worried about numbers, we're gonna start, they're starting to check them now, actually. So we can give ourselves several weeks to go out and get more numbers.
I know in the voter registration work we do, we encourage the circulators to make sure that people turn in a completed application for voter registration. So I'm guessing, that's another thing that make sure I think you had that in your list of things to do. Check
Yeah.
it before they walk away, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
don't let them walk away until you've looked it over. Because it might be a real simple error that we can fix. Oh, you know what else I didn't talk about is if even one staple, there's 4 staples across the top of this. If even one staple is missing, it invalidates all 40 signatures. So do not mess around with these things. Don't pull them apart. Don't mess around with them. All 40 signatures will be lost if anything looks like it's out of place.
Well, again, I want to thank you, Leah. This has just been great, and I want to thank
Thank you.
Andrea for being here to help with the tech things. And I will see you again tomorrow at 5:30,
All
Leah.
right, thank you.
And people can go to League of Women Voters of Denver.org if they want to sign up for the 5:30 training that Leah is doing tomorrow. Thanks again. Take care, everyone.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.